Hello, world. My name is Max Stein, and I love video games.
I'm the Megabuck. I really love video games.
And my name is Raph. I also love video games.
And welcome to the Game Treasure Podcast Weekly Watch Along, where Buck subjects us to videos.
Fun shit.
How are y'all doing today?
Peachy.
Yeah,
I'm doing great.
What you drinking?
I just Sprite Cherry Lime, zero sugar. Oh, whoa!
Okay.
Look at that. That's fun.
I'm drinking
You
a
can't
icy
see.
cold.
I have green screen on the.
Oh,
that's-
shit.
oh, there.
Whoa! I'm
This doesn't green
Game
screen, but
Treasure
that
Cola.
does. That's cool.
Ooh.
The science of
drinking
media.
a,
Game Treasure Cola.
a Bell's
Patent pending.
Hazy Hearted IPA.
I love Bell's.
I do like Bell's.
What a standby. Just
Yeah.
good ass old fashioned brewery.
Straight up,
Yeehaw.
yeah. I normally drink the
Ah.
High Life, but I decided to go with Bell's today.
I am I just got the strangest request for work, Buck.
Uh-huh.
So B-Rad, you'll love this. I just got a person reaching out to me to go collect a release form tomorrow. So a company filmed a documentary down here, and they forgot to get a release form from 3 of the people that were in it.
Yeah.
The catch is
How faces get blurred out.
Oh, no,
It's
this
a-
gets crazy. This
the
gets
catch
weird.
is
Okay.
it's an hour and 20 minutes away from my house, which is like, oh, okay, well, you get paid for a full day of work to drive 2.5
Right.
hours or something,
Fine
3
people.
hours.
Yeah. Drive
can
down
do
here.
that.
Sure.
Except the producer doesn't have the phone number or any means of communicating with the person who I need to get a hold of. They simply have their address. And I
So
was
I'm sure these
like-
people don't work, and they'll
so I
definitely
was
be at home doing
like,
nothing.
So, okay, let me get the address. And I get the address, and it is a shack in the middle of the woods,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
according to Google Maps. And I was
Yep.
just like, so I text the producer, like, be honest with me. Is this show about aspiring serial killers? Is this show about, I don't know, trigger happy, like, ground standers, maybe? Like, before I go driving up to this guy's house, even though he has no idea I'm coming, he's never met me before. He might not even be home, like Buck
Right.
said,
He
because,
has a
like,
job.
shouldn't he have a job if it's Thursday and at any time during the day that I would go there? Like, and let alone, like, and then I was like, so what is the show actually about? And they're like, oh, well, the show's about like people that look like they're on drugs, but they're not. I
Max, if
don't
you show up
believe
there
that.
and
I
there's-
don't. Yeah,
If there's a banjo playing, you run.
I was just like,
Bring a gun.
I don't
Yeah,
know what
exactly.
to do. They're like, we'll pay for your mileage, we'll pay for your gas, and I was just like,
We'll pay for your funeral,
I'm
too.
trying to think of
Yeah.
how high I can, like, okay, $600 and I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, because I was telling Raph, I was like, this is literally how Nosferatu starts. Like, it's a guy trying to make some money and then he accidentally ends up like dwelling
Jonathan
with
Harker.
Dracula. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like,
This
what
is
the fuck?
easy. They can't contact them. They have no means of getting a hold of them, right?
Yeah.
You
Yep.
drive there, then you drive back after you have like lunch and a massage. Couldn't
But
find them.
I don't think I don't think they'll pay me if I don't get the signature. You know?
Well,
what I mean?
that's
The-
stupid. Because
I
there's a
know.
good chance that you said they won't even be there.
Exactly. It's so disorganized that I'm just like, I have to Liam Neeson this potentially homeless guy or something. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is highly unorthodox. I'll have you
What an
know,
in-
producer man.
Oh, that's
This
funny.
is not
Yeah,
normally how
well-
this works.
B-Rad
Like,
said
what
10
an
out of 10
incredible oversight.
I did not like
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
By the way,
Yeah.
Mac did not like Nosferatu.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
What-
I'm
And then you
literally-
get back and you go, just blur their faces out.
I know. Why would they? I mean, I'm assuming they were like
Don't
Main-
recommend it till after, right?
main actors or something of this thing, but it's just like, then why did you forget? Is it because you were running out the door while he was chasing you with a shotgun or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is happening?
Oops, I forgot because that guy's crazy. That-
I don't know.
You should definitely ask if it's contingent upon you getting the releases because
Oh,
that's not on you if they're not there.
Yeah.
Or what if they just don't want to sign?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know?
I don't know what to do about this.
Yeah, you got to say, look, this has got to not be contingent. I'll go there. I'll take pictures of the shack if you want. I don't care. but I can't guarantee you they're going to be home. So you got to pay me for the trouble if they aren't there, or I'm like, you don't. Do you have their place of work? Can I go visit them at work? No, we don't know that. Well, that sounds like a you problem.
Right.
True Detective season 1 shit. That's so funny. Yeah, it's scary, man. That's not. I don't know if I'd go out in the middle of the woods.
Not without getting guaranteed pay.
Hold on, emergency.
Raph just shit his pants.
His dog may have shit his pants. It's pants.
The dog wears pants?
If I drive all the way there and can't.
Yeah. Do you have their place of work so I can visit them at work?
They literally, the producer said, we have no information on this person.
You just say,
Besides
I'm happy to call you when I'm there, take pictures of the place, just prove to you that I went. But if they
Sorry guys, my dog just took a shit on stream. I'll be right back.
I knew it.
Simpsons did it.
I don't know what to do here.
Can you show that on stream? Is that no? Okay.
Dog shit. Oh yeah, baby. It drives the algorithm way up.
You can't play shirtless, but you can show dog shit.
6, B-Rad. Should I do this job? What do you guys? Should I become the main character in the movie Creep and get jumped by some guy in the woods for $375 or something? Like, what should I do? Because I know if I say, what do I do if he's not there? The 600 doesn't even pay for your funeral. No.
Brad says no.
No. It sounds super sketchy and like I said, highly unorthodox.
The what? Okay. That's so funny.
Oh my God. On a positive note, I had a second interview to be an in-house photographer for a realty group that's moving
Same
here
place?
in Orlando. Yep.
Cool. That's always good.
That was cool. Which is another one where I'm like, maybe I really don't need to go get this money and possibly die or waste my time.
Again,
doing
what
so.
guarantee do you need that I was there? Like, you want to track my GPS? I'll let you do that.
Crazy.
All right.
It's one of those things where I'm going to have to hand the phone over to my girlfriend and be like, you tell them I'm not going to do it. I can't do it.
Fucking Daisy and Luigi over here.
For real. What happens
He
when-
said no pickles.
God, movie people are so shitty, and they're like, give an inch, take a mile. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, if I say like, what happens if if I go there and he's not there, and they'll be like, well, you just wait around for him because you got nothing to do. We'll pay you for the whole day to wait around for this guy.
There you go. Say that's fine.
Yeah.
How long? And how close to the house?
I'll bring my fucking pistole with me. Honestly,
He came back from making moonshine and hunting wolves.
What are the rules for transporting a pistol in Florida? Do you need a concealed permit? For
They
that if it's in
actually
a case?
changed that law last year. You do not need anything.
You know what? Maybe I'll just bring old Trusty with me just in case.
Sorry about that. I
Yeah, they
glanced
changed the
over.
law. We are a permitless carry state now, which means that residents and non-residents can carry a concealed firearm in public without a permit, background check, or safety training.
Oh,
Really?
that's fun. Really?
Well, because I was just saying, maybe I should just bring my fucking pistol
If you are
with me. Honestly,
if you are
to go-
21 years of age, you can just own it. How was the shit?
Well, I looked over and I was like, damn, who left a fried plantain on the floor? Oh, that's the turd. Okay.
That is the most fucking Spanish fucking Miami ass joke.
Hey,
Who
man.
left a fried plantain on the floor?
Hey, I'm Puerto Rican, man. I gotta make
I
it.
know,
I gotta
that's-
make it
that's
Puerto
why it's
Rican. You know, I gotta make it Puerto Rican, right?
Mac,
Well-
I've got a choice for you
Let's do
tonight.
this.
Okay.
I'll let you pick because one of the things I'd like to watch, I don't know if you want to watch because it might upset you.
Okay.
Oh.
So earlier this week, AGDQ is this week, by the way, guys. If you're not watching, just go turn over and watch that. I understand if you don't want to
Mhm.
watch us instead. Actually, no, I take that back. They're playing some shitty Call of Duty game right now. So come watch us like we're the Panty Bowl during the halftime of the Super Bowl and then go back to the Super Bowl.
What?
So earlier this week on GDQ, they did a 1 hour showcase of UFO 50.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't watch.
And-
I like started the highlights. Didn't watch it all.
Okay, and I didn't know if you would be okay with watching it because, like, you're going to see the end of, Barbuda and a couple of games that you may not have beat yet. So I'll leave it up to
Then
you.
Oh, I
What's
didn't
the
think about
other
that.
option?
The other option is we were going to watch part 1 of the 2 hour Killer Instinct documentary.
That sounds pretty cool.
That
I
does
have
sound pretty
the whole thing, and
cool.
it is fucking amazing. But it's
Yeah,
up to you.
is it?
I think the only I loved it. I thought it was great. I got very, very engaged. I brought it as my what else you got like 4 or 5 months ago, I
Yeah,
think,
I
after I
remember.
watched it.
But I didn't end up
In
watching it as much,
GDQ, I
actually.
think the only one that you haven't beaten here that they beat is Barbuda and Warp Tank.
I beat Warp
um,
Tank.
You beat Warp Tank, okay? And he does some amazing tech where you're like, he's fine. Beep, 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 beep. Like, what?
Oh,
do
Like he
love
teleported
UFO 50.
6 times and then shot.
What do you remember what games it is? I know they only do like 4.
I can tell they didn't do many. I can tell you right now, they did Barbuda. They did what's the scary one that I like so much?
oh, Night Manor.
Night Manor. They did Warp Tank. No, that's after that. They did Super Meat Boy. Yeah, they only did like 4 games. You're right.
Are they like
Oh,
speedruns?
they did Rakshasa, the Karnov clone.
Oh, really? You know what? Let's watch the Killer Instinct documentary then.
Alright,
I think,
that's-
yeah, I think
Let's
that's probably.
save
I
the
still haven't beat
UFO
Night Manor, and I want to beat
50
that one. Yeah.
Production for.
Oh, you haven't played Night Manor?
I haven't beat it yet. I haven't beat
Oh,
it.
yeah, we
Oh,
can't do
man,
that then.
Ram.
It'll
Yeah,
fucking
no,
spoil it
have
for
to
you.
beat Night
You
Manor.
should have just
That
fucking
game's
said that to
whoops
begin
ass.
with.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That game's
I mean,
awesome.
it would spoil it for you, and then you'd be like, "Oh, I know where to get all the items now." That's
And
True
then
that,
you'd
true that, true that, yeah.
cry. You would cry your little eyes out because you'd be spoiled. No,
Is it done? Is it
I don't know
done?
why I did that. Let's do Killer
Okay, that's-
Instinct.
all right. So yeah, this is a documentary by Hold Back to Block.
Yes.
I think it was a crowd source thing. I think they do that for video game documentaries. Like that's their shtick. They do some cool stuff. This one is just phenomenal. It goes all the way back to the history. It has a bunch of really cool people that were involved with Killer Instinct all the way back, and then it goes all the way up to the newer Iron Galaxy stuff. The guys that made it for Microsoft and the relaunch of the new Killer Instinct as well too. So
How about it? Let's do this. Yeah, that sounds good.
all right, you adjust your volume. Try to adjust it for me too. It's a little loud.
Yeah, I know it blares out your ears. Ultra Combo!
Killer Instinct. The name alone evokes nostalgia. For some, it may be of the crowded and loud arcades of the 90s. For others, it's of late nights huddled around the TV with either SNES or N64 controller in hand.
Others,
But for
it's
many,
not being
it's
able to
memories
pull
of
off a
bringing a new
single
console
combo
home
as your
and
brother
discovering
demolishes your
pride.
very soul in front of
Killer
your
Instinct is a
eyes.
series with a history
Hey,
that
nobody
spans
said don't
decades
play
and
Killer
styles
Instinct
that
while I was
stand
at school
apart
and
from
get
each
better,
other.
kid.
And even though it's been 7
Unfortunately,
years
you
since
also
its latest
have school.
iteration, the fire for KI still burns bright today.
Yeah, for
The
not
past
skipping
few
school.
months, I've traveled around the country to talk to developers
I never
behind
really,
Killer Instinct,
I never
as well as the
really
community that
played a
calls
lot
it
of this
home to
game,
learn about
honestly.
how
It
and
wasn't
why
really
a
in
game
like
KI holds a
the
special place in so many
gaming
hearts.
fighting game
And our
zeitgeist
story
for me.
starts with a dream
So you're
and some
going to
rare
get done
talent.
with this documentary and want to play Killer Instinct.
I mean, I already kind of do. I'll be
Fighting
honest with you.
era,
Like,
yeah.
it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
everywhere. And I got in the game industry.
I've been sucking up
but
every
I was
fighting game
playing
I
at Sunny
can,
Vale
and
Golf
just
Land the
kind of
whole
want to
time.
fuck with this one.
And I
So
was
this is Ken Lobb.
very
Check this
enamored
out.
early on with the Neo Geo. So I was thinking about creating games all the time because that's what I did, and I had a dream to make a fighting game. I had this idea of I want to do bigger combos, and I want to have a resolution to big combos. These were driven actually from a few things. This is long before I even met Rare.
You're
There's
going
a
to learn who
character
he
in
is
World
and how
Heroes
he
called
really.
Dragon, and he had a very simple one-hit move he could do that was elbow, and then he'd come up with a fist.
Auto double.
Literally, that's where auto doubles came from. The idea that I could push a button and get 2 hits. But it's like, but I don't really want to do that the way that game does, because you could literally just start a combo like that. But what I liked about World Heroes was I could put that after certain strong hits, specifically jump in. That was where open, auto double, and finisher came from. So jump ahead,
Sure.
Kim Kapuan. And the Neo Geo games had
Hey.
big moves you could do when you had the
B-Rad,
full
you
life
think
bar.
they'll ever make a
He
new
had an
Killer
ultra combo.
Instinct?
And he'd do
that
like
what
a
you're
12
asking?
hit.
I'd be
You
pretty
know,
gnarly.
and it's like that.
This man
I want
knows his
that.
fighting games.
This is the beginnings of Killer Instinct. The dragon character and Kim Kapuan.
We'll come back to that later and who Ken
started me
Lobb is
thinking
and how
about
important this
idea
is.
Of
It's interesting.
maybe you should be able to do longer combos in a fight. If you're going to do that.
This
what
was
I
like Killer
didn't like
Instinct's
about any
thing,
game
right?
where you
Was
were
like
gonna get one 3 or 4
combos.
times.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're
Right.
gonna learn about
I
it.
Number
felt
one
like you're
crux
hitting
of the
me.
game.
I'm going to watch.
You're going to learn
It's
about it.
funny that it's its
Thanks.
own little camp.
That's where Combo
Street
Breaker came
Fighter,
from.
King of
So all
Fighters,
that I had
Fatal
formulated
Fury, and
while
then
I was
Killer
at
Instinct's
Namco.
just like
Wasn't
off
starting
doing
a
like
game at the time.
we're doing our
I
own
ended up
thing.
signing a
We're
fighting
not doing
game,
the you
funny
know,
enough, called Melee.
Tekken. We're not
Hired
doing
James Goddard,
Soul
this
Calibur,
fighting
so, like,
guy
it's
I
its
knew
own
from
weird little
from
system.
Sunnyvale
It's so
Golf
interesting.
Land to come and help with this Melee design. Then I get the call to go to Nintendo.
It's almost like how
So I
Melee,
sort of
like Smash
flushed
Brothers,
the
stands
Melee
alone on its own
design
little
from my
island
head, 'cause
of
it's like,
play
well, I
style.
can't
Killer
take
Instinct is the
that.
same
Sure.
way.
But I'd still been fixated on this idea of open auto double and finisher combo breaker. Literally weeks after I started
dork.
Nintendo, I fly to Japan.
Fucking
I meet
rare,
Tim and Chris
man.
Stamper. I get shown
dude.
Donkey Kong Country. We sign it. My job
this out.
in the first few
Yeah,
months
yeah.
at Nintendo was literally go to Rare, figure out exactly what hardware they need to build this Donkey Kong Country thing.
Okay, do you have their phone
find out
number?
how much it
No.
costs.
This is
We
his
only
job.
have their address, and it's
more than Japan.
they're fucked up looking.
Their answer wasn't, don't spend it. Their answer was, okay, we should maybe sign them to do 3 games.
Yeah.
So I go to Rare knowing that I'm going to give them everything they need to do Donkey Kong. We'd already signed. But that maybe there are more games. They'd been told, you know, hey, maybe you could do a couple more games. So they sit me down in a room with 3 of them.
'Cause they had
and
to
they're
buy all
like,
the hardware
"Here's
to
the
make
second game
Donkey Kong
we'd like to do.
Ah.
And funny enough, the name was Brute Force. Brute Force was not
Look at
Street
this.
There it
Fighter, it
is.
was not Mortal Kombat, and it was
Rifter.
definitely not Killer Instinct. They were going after a
Oh.
little Street
King
Fighter
Thunder
and Mortal
instead of
Kombat,
Chi
but
Thunder.
no combos. They
Mr.
liked 2-in-1s,
Fist.
and they liked kill moves. And I sat down literally in that, like 20 minutes in, I'm like, I got an idea. And I drafted out open, auto double, end finisher, combo breaker, ultra combo. Explained all those. Explained the way a combo actually works, because they'd never built a fighting game. Long story short,
Mine's coming
I
to Street
leave
Fighter.
and come back to America, and less than 2 weeks later,
Mine's
Howard
coming to
Newton
Street
comes into
Fighter.
my office.
Yeah.
Mine
Phil
from King of
Hubbard
Fighters.
called. He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
the
yeah.
Coming to Street
president of
Fighter this
Red
year.
Front.
Fury, frankly.
They want you
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
back
right,
and
yeah.
talk more about that fighting game.
But yeah,
So
Fatal
went back
Fury.
for a
Yeah.
full week. We laid out the whole
Yeah.
kind of idea of what this game should be. Come back about a month and a half later. They'd done motion capture. They had the first early beginnings of Jago, and I worked with
Jago.
them to build Jago's first
true.
combo. And so we just wanted to build. What does this feel like? Does the code work to run this? I had also been fixated on the best fighting games had these very succinct
Joe!
this kind of multi-layered sound effect that made a punch sound cooler than a
Yeah.
punch.
This Ken Lobb knows his
Let's
shit.
do
It
that
does.
Yeah.
better. They had a few variants. They plugged it into that first combo, and I get this call late in the afternoon, which means it's like 2 o'clock in the
Get some
morning
good
at Rare.
punching sound effects and a
You
Killer
got to hear
Instinct.
this. I mean, that's literally the call. You got to hear this. And they put it down,
Ooh, yeah.
and they're like,
Beefy.
we believe. They had
we're in.
kind of understood
That's
what
crunchy.
I wanted, and you know, they believed it enough to go try this prototype. But it was literally, interestingly, it was the hearing of the combo that pushed them over and got them, like, shall we say, completely bought in. And again, I want to make
funny.
it perfectly clear. I walked in with a bunch of cool ideas that I was thinking about. This team at Rare built Killer Instinct. I would help and go build every character, almost all. There were a couple that I didn't travel for. I formed a team back at Nintendo inside the treehouse,
Yeah.
specifically of
man,
every
yeah.
fighting game
Yo, that's
lover
cool.
that I could find at Nintendo. So that was sort of the gig after that. Go to Rare, build a character,
You gotta get
come
you a
back,
copy for your Super Nintendo,
test it,
Raph.
balance it against
Yeah,
Jago.
true. Yeah, they
go
do have
back,
it at
build the next
our local
character,
shop.
back and forth, back and forth. The guy that hired me into Nintendo was Tony Harmon. He left Nintendo a few years after I came. He's the one that came into my office one day, and he's like, I think I have a good name. We should call it Killer Instinct. And I'm just like,
Good name.
yes, but there's no way we're going to be allowed to call it that. And he's like, oh, I talked to Howard. Howard liked the name. Okay. And then my
yeah.
next
I
was,
love
"What-
this guy.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no way that's going to pass trademark search.
Right.
And he's like, we already started. So we've done the quick
Killer Instinct.
worldwide. It passed.
Yeah. Meaning it wasn't taken.
So
Right, yeah.
what do you
and it's-
think? I'm like, oh, yes.
Can't
And
believe
let
that.
me go talk to Rare.
No movies,
They had
no-
the same response.
All right, yeah.
It's kind of like, we get to call it that? Yes. Yes, please.
Fuck yeah.
And anyway,
What year is
we
it?
end up with
1996.
the name
Oh my
Killer
god, we're gonna be so rich. We're gonna make hand over fist.
1995, only on Nintendo Ultra 64.
The Ultra 64.
Killer Instinct.
Get fucked.
Killer Instinct, believe it or not, was my first competitive fighting game. It was the first fighting game that I got in my hands, and I was like, I want to be really good
Oh,
at this.
shit, this
I
guy.
got a player's guide, the old Super Nintendo player's guide that was actually, I believe you could mail in for
Gore is
free.
such a cool
So it was one of the
design.
most popular like strategy guides back in the mid-90s. And once the game came out on Super Nintendo, I was all in.
Oh, man,
I was very
Spyro,
young
what a
at the
good
time.
game.
Like I was probably 11 or 12 years old. But after playing that
Lost the
game in
juggle.
arcades, it was truly the greatest looking video game you'd ever seen. No one knew if it was like CG, because the term CG didn't really exist back then.
Right.
Like digital graphics had only gotten so far. Everyone thought it was claymation. No one could figure out what
looks so
they
good.
did to make this game look the way it does.
They were using SGIs to render a lot of these characters. To be clear, that the SGI is very, very high-end graphics at the time. These are the same machines that was used to render Jurassic Park. That is actually
shit.
how they
Shit.
got
Whoa,
famous.
dude.
It's because of all the Hollywood special effects that they
Fucking
had
awesome.
created. It's the
That
start
is
of
fucking
CG.
awesome.
That's why they
And
were
Rare
saying like,
adopted
okay, if we're gonna
it.
make
They
this
did
for
an
Donkey Kong
amazing
Country, if we're
job,
gonna
of
invest
course,
this
with
much, we
Donkey
got to do
Kong.
more than one game.
And then they used that to render all
gonna
these
buy all this
fighting game
hardware
characters
to be able
that
to do
are
all of
just
this?
amazing looking.
And you see all these amazing renders of all the characters.
that's crazy.
From Rare. You'd see a mix of them,
like the line from
like,
Donkey
a
Kong
whole bunch
Country
of
to Killer
different
Instinct
genres.
is, like,
you see a
direct.
werewolf
Right.
that might be from Darkstalkers, but you also see a ninja. So it's like, oh, there's a bit of Mortal Kombat in there, and you just saw this really
and a
cool mix of
robot, and a
characters.
lava
You saw a
guy,
box, you
and
saw
a
an
skeleton.
alien,
A
lava
a
dinosaur.
Literally a guy
And
just made out of
it was
lava.
just a game that when I got to really see it, all the characters, all the artwork, all their special moves, I was like, I need to buy this game.
Killer Instinct was unique when it first came out, because when I was basically walking around the arcade, I didn't even know it existed until I just hear this big.
Combo breaker.
And I'm like, what the hell is that? And like, it's so loud. It was like way louder than any other game in the entire arcade.
That's true,
And I just
it
go
is
over there
way
and I see the
louder.
owner. He's playing.
And it's
Wait till
so
they-
clear.
throwing these projectiles.
Wait till they
and he's playing
explain
Fulgore. And I was like, dude, that character looks so sick.
This documentary
And
is
I was
great.
immediately drawn to that franchise, and I just started.
What channel
playing
is
KI
this?
Every day after
Hold
school,
Back to Block?
before school, maybe sometimes
that
during
out.
school.
Rare owned arcades. So they had a couple arcades in Florida. They understood,
Street
you know,
Fighter.
hey,
Oh, Florida.
we've got the best looking game. No one's going to touch this. I mean, we were on millions and millions of
Street
dollars
Fighter
of
just
hardware to
has
make the sprites and
real
Killer Instinct.
win.
So we kind of knew visually.
Meanwhile,
we were gonna
fucking
be
Killer
ahead.
Instinct goes,
They wanted to
oh,
make
oh
the
my
machine
fucking
live.
god, everybody
Here.
look over here.
But they
This
wanted
guy's
to do it
killing
in
this
such
guy.
a way. And you could see it was kind of sneaky. The loudest things by a
Check
lot
this out. Check this out.
weren't going to get heard on day one. Combo breaker, ultra combo. Those should be louder. The call outs of combos should actually get louder. So you get a 3-hit.
Triple combo.
You get the big combos, they're going to be
There it
louder.
is.
King combo.
And if you get ultra combo,
Ultra combo.
it's
can
going to
hear
be
that shit
40% louder.
On the other side of the
So
arcade.
a
That's what
traditional
he's
person
pointing
that
out.
buys an arcade machine, they go through setup, they
Look at this.
button, turn it up a little, push the button, turn it up a little. Okay, that's as loud as it should be.
It is.
Not knowing that as soon as somebody ultra combo,
They had it
that was gonna
programmed
be loud.
to where those things were
Boom!
louder.
Within a few weeks,
On
people started
purpose.
to learn those moves.
Louder
So
than
you
the
walk into an
default
arcade.
background.
Yeah.
What was that?
Oh, genius.
And then you
If
go
you set it at
see
8, it would
this
be at
game
11.
Looks like nothing
I
else.
love Rare.
The art style was completely
It's
different. The
official.
combo
Yeah.
structure was completely
Rare?
different. 'Cause
Yeah.
Street
Rare
Fighter
is
was
legitimately,
kinda limited in its
well, I mean,
interactions
before they
between
got bought out by
that and,
Microsoft,
Right.
one of the
combos were
greatest
quick and
developers
concise,
Yeah,
but
of all
they're
they're
time.
pretty
Capcom
short.
tier,
But Killer
yeah.
Instinct just
Yeah.
it took that and just ran with it.
Kick
So
it.
you're talking like 20, 30 hit combos and stuff. The first time I saw an Infinite with Cinder, like I just freaked out. I'm just like, what am I watching here? What's going on? I'm like,
You couldn't have
but I
picked a
want
better
more
part in
of
his place
this
in his
and
house
stuff.
to do that
Killer Instinct,
interview.
especially at the time, was pretty groundbreaking.
7
Unfortunately,
outlets
no.
behind him.
And all the other
in the middle of the wall.
Maybe that was the
Guys.
part of the house that had the
You gotta
least amount of
open up-
outlets.
Yeah,
You're
this
taking
is the
this
guy
damage
that is really,
regardless.
really good at Killer
In Killer
Instinct.
Instinct, you were still playing even though you were taking hits. And as long as you were able to like identify the frames and get the timing right
the
and hit
outlets
the
for
proper
me.
inputs,
Yeah.
you can still
Yeah.
break out of a
Frame
bad
it, like,
situation.
you get on the other
It took
side
a
of the
while.
couch.
Yeah, what's on the other
They
side that was
really-
so bad?
Yeah, a dead
They
child.
really wanted
Opened
that
up a whole new
plant,
world
though.
of just
Can you guys
They
get my
really wanted
outlets?
players and stuff.
Can you guys get my outlets?
It turned
There is a
into
plant there.
a
We
mind
could
game
move
that
the
would
couch
happen
forward and
during
put
the
the plant
neutral
in front of the out. No,
into,
shut up. We have to get
potential
done
like,
mind
no,
games that
but-
happened
5 minutes ago.
during an actual
My
combat
outlet
itself as
collection,
well. So it
please.
just
I want to
added
show
that
this.
extra layer of
Nobody has
complexity
these
and
outlets
depth and just
anymore because they're not used for
fun
anything.
between
request.
players and such. And always that
The entire audaciousness of the machine, the cabinet, is what drew everyone in. How
Poor guy.
loud it was, how visceral it was, how violent it was, and by
Maximilian's
today's
a very
standards,
clean
not
guy.
violent at all. But it did a lot to capture your
Two
attention
cans of
between
air
the
dusters.
music and
Canned air back
its
there.
visuals
Tan.
and presentation.
Lysol
Clean up your
So
desk
much
for
so
the
that when
fucking
it came out, I'm
interview.
like, this is
Is
the
that a
game
Daigo
for me.
Perry shirt?
B-Rad's
Killer
electronic.
Instinct's success would lead to various
like 2
ports
phone
and
jacks,
arcade
power
sequel that
outlet,
would
a
later
blank
come to
play,
the
and a hole
Nintendo
with the
64
coax
as
coming out
KI
of it.
Gold.
And one of those
This
cable
would be the
covers.
last we'd see of the franchise for quite some time, however. Rare would go on to be purchased by Microsoft in 2002 for $375 million, becoming a first-party developer for the Xbox. Character trademarks developed by Rare, such as Killer Instinct, were retained by the company. It would take close to a
nightmare,
decade before
Banjo.
signs of a Killer Instinct return would start to emerge.
So what happened is, at the time, I was working as the creative director for XBLA, which, if you remember, for the Xbox 360 was all, we had this incredible digital library of
Guy's
games,
last
right?
name is-
But they were the games that only shipped
green.
digitally. Basically, they didn't go to a box. They didn't.
That game was
they didn't
great.
come
That
out
Tomb
as like a
Raider
big, huge,
thing of light or
like,
whatever it was, the two-player
poster on the
co-op
side of a
game.
bus kind of games.
Never seen that.
And
game was
I'd always
phenomenal.
loved fighting games. And so I'm sitting here in XBLA, and I'm watching the whole portfolio come in, and all these games that we're doing in all these different genres, but no fighting games. And so there was this one meeting we were walking out of that was a portfolio meeting, and me, as the gamer, turned to Ted, who ran the organization, and I was like, shouldn't we have a fighting game in this portfolio? Like, we've got all these other genres covered, we have nothing for fighting. And, you know, most of the time with XBLA,
give me a high
we
def
would
of
let
that
the
game.
games
Oh,
come to
dude.
us.
That
But this was one of
Castlevania
those
game.
occasions
What's this
that
game
I was like,
called?
well, the game's probably not going to come to
was
us.
Miss
So what if
Splosion.
we did it?
But the other one before.
And so
The
I mentioned
Castlevania
this to
game?
Ted, and Ted went,
Misplosion's
you need
the
to talk to
pink
Ken
one, that's
Lobb.
the red
Yeah.
one.
So I actually wanted to bring KI back. I ran XBLA for
Same
a few years.
developers.
I want-
During that
I
time,
want
I
the
wanted to bring
fucking,
KI back, but emulator can't
Castlevania
find a
game.
developer. Problems. So we're about a year before the launch of Xbox One, and Adam Isgreen comes to me, "Hey, we should do Killer Instinct." Well, yeah, but there's problems. You don't have no developer. You know, none of the team is around.
So I go talk to Ken. Obviously, you've already interviewed Ken, so you know that almost immediately Ken was like, okay, so here's how the combo system works, blah, 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 and you can do this and that. And he goes into this whole history of Killer Instinct.
Obviously, you've already talked to Ken.
That term, drinking from a fire hose, this was like having 17 fire hoses just pouring on you from every single angle, just like, oh my God, like all this Killer Instinct knowledge, and I'm trying to absorb all of this.
That's funny.
And then he's like, let's go to lunch. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we drive to his house, right? We get out of his car, we go into his house, and he's got a KI2 machine. And he turns it on and then proceeds to beat me soundly for an hour while telling me constantly about why Killer Instinct is
He's
so
me
great,
if I had gotten
and all
into the
cool
game
things in
development.
it and all the neat things. And
Killer
I'm like,
Instinct 2, you
whoa,
said?
okay, cool.
He has an arcade
awesome.
machine in his
After
house
kind of
still.
getting all
Ken
this
Lobb
knowledge
did.
from Ken and getting Ken really excited
20
about
years
it.
later, he
From
still
there,
had an
I
arcade
started
machine. Killer
really
Instinct
thinking about
Gold?
what we could do
Yes,
with
that's the
Killer
same
Instinct
game.
based on
Gold is
everything
the
that I'd,
N64 port.
seen from Ken.
Right, yeah.
I went off, did a ton of research.
That's the only
I
one
had
I've
an
actually
advantage,
seen.
actually, in some respects, because
not
I
nearly
had
as
some
good in my
license from
opinion.
Killer Instinct that I was able to see some things that wouldn't hold up in a game if we were to bring it back today. I've heard this wonderful expression of Killer Instinct 1 being the best solo player fighting game ever because it was super fun and abusable, and yeah, playing multiplayer, you could kind of get into situations, especially with characters like Cinder, where you're like, I kind of just die, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, we need to fix that. Like, how am I going to address that? And there's this wonderful little flowchart I came up with that kind of described the Killer Instinct combo system. Then I also added this thing to it called Riposte, kind of diagrammed out what I thought would work for a modern version of Killer Instinct. And I wrote up this whole document on it, which we call an RFP, which is a request for proposal. And it's basically something that like Microsoft sends out saying, hey, we would like to make this video a video game. We would like it to be kind of like this. Would you like to do this with us? And how much would you want money-wise, blah, 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 all the legal stuff that would go into that. Of course, everyone's like, well, you got to talk to Rare, because of course this is their IP. And the cool thing is that Rare is an amazing bunch of people.
Don't you fucking own
Craig
them?
Duncan,
No,
who
we
runs
don't.
it, is a
We
great
can just buy
guy.
them.
And I sent him an email and said, hey, Craig, we're looking into,
They already owned
we're
them by that
thinking
point.
about bringing back KI. Can I use KI? And I remember it was like, he wrote me back like 3 lines. And he said, yes, do the game justice by its fans, make Ken Lobb happy.
And he's like, so I've been told that I can go do it. I've written part of an RFP. We have picked 6 developers that we think we're going to go approach. I went to Rare and asked, and their response was, well, if it's okay with Ken, because I'm the only one around from the original team. The people from Rare had literally all left.
It's okay
So
with
he
Ken.
comes to me and he's like, I'm the gate? Me. Yes. Yes, but. You know, so then that led to a bunch of conversations around, so here's what I think Killer Instinct
Jesus,
was.
keep hitting the
And that
fucking
should be part
mic,
of the
man.
conversation in your RFP. But you want a developer that really understands fighting games, because it's hard. Right? It's not easy to just come from nothing and go build a fighting game.
The funny thing is how we found Double Helix. Chris Charla, who of course you know now runs ID at
Lantern
Xbox.
game there.
Anyways,
There's a
one day
reason.
Chris comes into my office and he drops this Xbox 360 game on my desk. And he's like, so I know these devs and I used to work with them and they're a really good group of guys and they have some good tech. You know, it's a licensed game. I don't know how good it is, but you know, you're looking for KI devs. And I thought, maybe, you know, check it out. And the game was Green Lantern by Double Helix.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh, okay. You know,
Not as bad as the movie I
was
heard.
pretty bad, but whatever. I'll check the game out. And so I take the game home and I load it up, and I'm blown away by how good not only the animations are, the creativity on the combat system is pretty impressive, and all the effects look great. And I said to myself, I'm like, wow, this is a long shot. But then again, we're bringing back a 20-year-old franchise. This whole project is a long shot if we get to do it, right? Like, this whole thing is a long shot. You know, can we make this work?
It's interesting because I had started April 2012 here at Microsoft. And actually, when the recruiter called me, I was going, okay, what is Microsoft doing that would involve me? Because I'm a combat guy and I do mostly violent stuff that involves punching things in the face digitally. So I was like, oh, maybe it's Killer Instinct, right? And then I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, they also have that other game, Rise. It's like this first person melee kind of sword game. Turned out it was Rise that I was being interviewed for. And I came on as the senior designer to basically direct and lead the combat. And then a couple months into that, someone comes up to me and said, hey, you used to work at the Collective, right? I did.
I remember the trailers.
Oh, we're dealing with Double Helix. We're talking to them, and you know, there's a discussion about Killer Instinct. Do you think that they can do it? Well, yeah, if they use the Slayer engine, they can absolutely do it. And the reason why I'm very passionate about that is because I worked at the Collective in 1999, and myself and some other people
Buffy the
built
Vampire
the
Slayer.
That's
engine
hilarious.
To be able to do Buffy the
That's
Vampire Slayer
hilarious.
for original Xbox. And the scripting language and everything about what we did was based on my many years of doing fighting games before that and empowering designers. So I knew Double Helix could do it. They had the tools.
Being an independent developer, you're always trying to line up your next project. At the time, I was actually working on pre-production for Strider, and we had a bunch of other projects that were going on at the time at the studio. And then an RFP came in, and Patrick came to me. Patrick was our studio head at the time, and he goes, "Hey, Mike, Microsoft is looking for developers to work on Killer Instinct." And I was like, "Then we gotta go do this." There's no question in my mind. We have to put something together.
When Berserker Mike Willett approached me, kind of took him off to the side.
Fucking
and he was
Conan
like, hey,
it.
would you want to
Ass-looking
work on
motherfucker.
Killer
Tusk,
Instinct?
yeah, that's who he's
And I
supposed
thought
to
he
be.
was joking, you know, because I'm like, yeah, right, dude, whatever, and stuff like that. Because he knows that, like, I'm a huge fighting game fan. Like, as well as him,
And one of
like,
those
several
covers,
people
the
on
thing
team
that's
and
supposed to
stuff
cover your
like that. And he
wires,
rolls up
but
and
he's
just-
not.
Yeah, dude, like that's I'm telling you, man. Like I don't know.
KI, and I'm like,
what was it?
You're
Like it's
serious?
got to be his favorite
He's like,
room in the
yeah,
house.
dude. I'm like,
I got a
and,
plan.
you know, like everything just kind of stopped, and I'm like,
Either that or it's an efficiency, and that's literally the whole house.
We'd sent a pitch deck, and then we got a response back from Microsoft, and they're like, they showed some interest. They're like, hey, we want to know a little bit more about the studio and about what you guys are doing. So we finally got to have like an immediate on-site with him, kind of discuss what they
That
were looking
shit's so
for.
cool right there.
And we kind of got green lit into kind of a very early pre-production period. And at that time,
It's really unique for
we
a fighting
basically
game.
had a whole
like
bunch
at that
of new
time,
tech
it's
that
just
we've
you
been
don't see a lot of
working
that kind
on.
of thing. I
So
mean,
we
Mortal
set up a
Kombat had the
box
pit and all that stuff, but
and
it's all
basically
that's
replicated
so cool,
all
you know,
of
3D.
KI2 with like two great characters. So they're completely temp, so they're proxies, what we call them.
Screaming.
And we put in the normal kind of golden path of the combat system in there.
our approach towards developing the prototype actually gave us really cool insights into actually how to approach the actual final game as well. We want to recreate Killer Instinct as accurately as possible, or at least the systems involved accurately as possible in as short amount of time as possible. Because, you know, when you're a developer that's competing against other developers, you've got to do stuff, you know, quickly and timely.
Well,
You
like
don't
the
have
skeleton
a set amount
bleeds.
of time. So that was one of the things we were trying to prove. Was like,
I love it.
we can get this done
I
at
won't
high
tell.
quality in a short amount of time.
No,
I
like that's
literally looked at the
it's
first
a feature,
list
not a
of
bug.
Double Helix. No, why are you going to Double Helix? My
bones are bleeding.
Long story short, it's like we want to give 6 people a try. They've done a couple interesting things. Just hear us out. Fast forward a little bit. We got responses from a couple. Man, we'd love to do this, but we're too busy. Iron Galaxy was one of those. They're like, if you wait 6 months, we would love to do this. Please, please, please. And we're like, we got a launch coming. We think we might be able to hit a launch game. So I'm sorry, Iron Galaxy, but you're off the list. One team came back with a prototype. And even better, they came back with this letter, this sort of, you know, the dream of making a Killer Instinct. and that was Double Helix. And so I went from, why would we want them?
Is the
they're
grid
sick,
just like a staple
to
in fighting
playing
games
this
now?
white box prototype and going, they
Yeah,
kind of
like training
get it.
area, yeah.
What I
Yeah.
didn't know was
The grid.
Double Helix was collective. And I loved Buffy. I mean, Buffy's an interesting game. There was something designed in that game around combat
No,
circle,
don't kill James
what it means
Marsters.
to counter, when you counter, how many people are attacking you at the same time. That was very, what would it feel like to take a simplified fighting game and turn it into sort of a 3D Final Fight? Forgetting about the engine morphing from that into Killer Instinct, the fact that that team understood what it meant to make a complex brawler, to me, okay, they understand deep game mechanics that I didn't expect. It was like, okay, you guys know what you're doing.
What is that thing?
The thing that originally I think clinched
It's a
it for
vampire.
Double Helix was the passion that they had. Every time we
Maybe.
met them,
Dracula.
you
Probably.
could sense
It
it's a
depends on which
projection
season,
of
I guess.
love and of delight when
These
you start talking
motherfucking
about KI.
Draculas, and they all play the
Like,
flute.
everything they said was always, oh my God, this, and we can do this, and it would be really exciting to do that, and how do we do that? And oh my gosh, this really cool thing, and we love what you're thinking about here, but what about this? And you could tell that this was more than just a job to them. This was something they really were hungry to do. And I think the studio at the time, Double Helix, was hungry to prove itself too, right? That like, hey, we can step up above. I'm not trying to disservice them by saying like B-tier games, but they were making a lot of games that would have, probably ended up on XBLA with some that go into boxes, a lot of licensed games. But it's like, this is our shot at doing something
Battleship.
great.
Damn.
And wow, did they take it. Like, they just took it and ran with it. They were just so passionate about it. And their tech was great. That was the other thing too. I mean, like, a combination of the passion, the knowledge of KI, and the engine that they were working with, all was like, wow, maybe we can pull this off with them.
So which
With Double
Killer
Helix and
Instinct
their
is it
Hex
that they're,
engine, an
they're
evolution
talking
of the
about
Slayer
here?
engine
There's only
used
3
in
Killer
previous
Instinct
titles. Microsoft had
Okay.
the developer, and production began on the new Killer Instinct. Combined, there was a surplus development
love
and
that
testing
black
talent
cartridge.
involved that experience with fighting games or its
I fucking
community
need
that
one
would
of
help
these.
bring this new KI to life. People like Campbell Tran, Filthy Rich, Dave Winstead, Rip, Maximilian, and many others. There was a lot of work to be done to bring the 90s fighter into modern times, and not much time to do it, as the team had only 10 months to get the game ready for the Xbox One's launch.
10 months. They made
Reviving
this game
Killer
in
Instinct,
10
like,
months.
is
No
presented,
shit.
Like, a whole bunch of different dilemmas that we had to figure out in a short period of time. This was a title that we love. Like, we don't want to fuck this up. This is one of those things. Not only that, but we want to do right by the community. We want to do right by the previous developers. By Rare and such. And we knew that this was going to be just an uphill battle, like across the board. This was going to be something that
Can't
we
with
were
it.
going to
I
have to
can't with
iterate
it.
on and solidify and crystallize and actually just
You couldn't just put
figure
the
out
plans in the
not
way,
just
maybe
what
cover the
Killer
outlets with
Instinct
them,
is
you
as a
know, like
whole,
I hate
Yeah.
that
but what it
Glacius
could
design.
be.
I
think
didn't
the
like
big
Glacius in
challenge
the
was
second
figuring
game
out all
either.
the things
I
that
agree.
we could
Yeah.
shed,
Mhm.
right,
I agree.
without angering.
I also didn't like his design in KI 3.
The other
and
interesting thing
Killer
about
Instinct
Killer Instinct
Reboot.
is a lot of people played Killer
He's
Instinct.
very
a lot of people did.
lanky and
But
spiky.
A lot of people
Mm.
played Killer Instinct 20 years ago. The strategy that myself and the team took was like, how do we capture the spirit of what was amazing about Killer Instinct and the things that people will remember in their heads, right? The bombastic announcer, the cool Jago, Orchid, the characters that people remember, but do it in a way that we could make sense of it today. We came down to basically when you're designing characters, there's always
Make
like
me
3
just wanna
key
play
reads
fighting
that
games.
you try to make sure are
You're
always
gonna wanna play this
uniquely
afterward.
identifiable
Yeah.
components of that character. And especially when you're dealing with the characters that's existed before, you want to make sure that there's ties
it's
back
free
to
on
those
Game
things
Pass.
so that people can still relate them. And for Fulgore, it came down to
Oh, that's true,
the
'cause
arm
it's
blades,
rare. That's-
the
yeah.
ponytail, and I believe it was the chest plate. Were the 3 things that are like iconic must.
Just when I was about to get
Everything
rid of
else
my
is
Game
fair game to
Pass.
play with.
Keep
And so we
pulling
did
me
all
back
kinds of
in.
experiments and discovery to
get you.
figure out what those things were with each character so that we could maintain them across the characters.
We would take a really hard look at like the lore and
Cool.
the background for the character themselves and use that to draw inspiration
Hate
for
it.
their moveset, their animations, their looks, like everything associated with the character.
Glacius is the only
And
character they
some of the
didn't
stuff
nail,
on Spinal,
really, in
you
my
start to see
opinion. And
some
maybe
of the stuff.
Thunder,
You
his make us
see
a little
The
goofy.
shield that he has was actually part of
Spinal's
the ship.
fucking amazing.
And then you start to see like all the elements that's actually hanging on him and
shit's
everything.
cool.
Like there's all sorts of details that kind of
Yo,
call back to
so
who
good.
this character
That.
is and everything like that. But on top of that, like we start to look for little nuggets that you can actually just emphasize. Stuff that really, really called out to us was just how crazy the character was. Like that cackle was like just a key moment for us.
Oh, that's
So some of the
amazing.
stuff that we would start to mess with was like some of his poses, the way he would approach, and like the style for his attacks and stuff like that, where we wanted to make sure that they were very distinct. They weren't like smooth and like, you know, Jago has a very smooth and clear and concise like moveset and stuff like that. But he's just more like,
you gotta have really well designed
characters. He's just crazy.
Oh,
over the top,
Killer
and
Instinct
that's
nails
so
it.
simple to-
There's a character in that
focus on.
game
Even,
that's
Wes
basically the
Fujiyama
girl from
was
The Ring.
one of the animators on that one. His kick, his heavy kick.
I think that's why I
is
like
actually him running forward
Darkstalker
and
so much.
kicking
All
the
those
opponent in
characters
the
are so
junk. Like,
unique. Tekken has
when
great
Wes
fucking
actually
characters, even though
animated
I'm
that, he
never
put that
gonna
in the
get
game,
good
and
at
I'm
Tekken. Never.
You know, I'm
It's just
like,
never gonna happen.
We gotta keep that. He's like, I don't know if they're gonna go for it. And I'm like, shh, it's okay. Everything we put into the character's moveset has to work for this character. We just kind of use that to drive a lot of our creative process with regards to the look, feel, and style for all the characters.
So fucking cool.
Oh, cool. They kept his
It's a lot of fun.
Oh
I mean,
God,
the
yes.
other fun
I think
thing
I
too
own
is
it
when
on
we talk about
Steam
the
actually
combo
because they
system
put it on
itself.
sale all the time for
Right
like
off
10
the
or 20
bat,
bucks.
the combo system
Oh
that
shit.
we were working
Damn, I'm
with
gonna keep an eye
originally,
out on that one.
we
Fuck, I
felt that
didn't know
was
this was
gonna
on
be
Steam.
Too high a barrier of entry for standard
Believe so.
players.
Let me check.
And stuff like, you know,
Oh,
standard
I'm checking
HTC
right
guys
now.
like, yeah, they'll with some
Already
enough
doing it.
experimentation,
This game's
they'll
10
get
years
better
old.
so they
The,
can
the,
play.
the last Killer
At the same
Instinct they
time,
made.
this is
sucks.
something that
One or whatever
we
they're
want
talking
to
Yeah.
bring this to a broader audience. And when you get to a certain point, mechanical barrier of entry
That's free on
is
Steam.
Just, it's not
I
really
see
a
that,
valid
yeah.
thing because the people that are going to spend
It's
time
like the
on
remix
that
of
will
Orchid's
literally
music,
pick it
right?
up.
Let's fucking
Because
go.
the muscle memory thing, they'll be able to jump into it. Whereas you're unnecessarily blocking other players, you know, more casual players or somebody that's new to the genre from being able to approach that tile because.
What do you guys think is the
because of that
best
barrier of entry. So one of the first things we
song
wanted to
from
do
any
was try to
fighting
figure out
game that
how
you
to
can think
simplify
of?
Oh, that's the theme song
combo
from
system
Marvel vs.
while
Capcom 2.
Keeping the
Theme
same
song,
rhythm,
okay.
the same cadence, the actual combo structure itself, and everything.
I think it's-
how do we make that happen now?
I really like
had to go back into the
Beats in
heart
My
of the combo
Head
system.
from
And the interesting thing was is in Killer Instinct 1, you could just kind of
Fucking
style.
Third
The only thing you could
Im-
break, right, were the
yeah,
linkers.
Third Impact.
And then in Killer Instinct 2 had absolute
Third
hard
Strike, that's what
counters.
Third
So
Impact. What am I saying?
if you
I
were
got
doing a wing
Evangelion
kick
in my
at
head.
me, and anywhere in that wind kick,
That's Second
if I
Impact
did a
is the
laser
sequel.
sword as a counter, I
Dust
countered
on my
you.
screen there.
Like you instantly got advantage on me, and I'm like, this is the most broken fighting game system ever.
We just had to really be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
and
There's
think about, like,
three,
are people
and
really
then
gonna
there's
get that right
Second
now?
Impact,
There's
and then
a
Third
lot
Strike.
going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Street Fighter 4
Third
was
Strike
doing
is-
really well.
Third
Street Fighter 4
Strike is the
loosened some
best
things
one,
up, even
obviously.
with
It's
the
so
way
good.
the way
It is, yeah.
input systems worked. And so there was a lot of modernization happening, and so this was one of the
Yeah,
areas we
Elena's
absolutely had to deal with. And so
Stage
Ken
Beats in My
Lobb,
Head. That song is so
to
fucking
us
good.
was the person that we had to talk to about this. We wanted Ken's blessing, especially
yeah.
because he was so tied to it. I mean, Rare trusted
Yeah.
us with this IP.
It's so
Ken
fucking. It
was
just gets
the
stuck
best
in my head. Like,
representative, not to mention the partner level
Good shit.
creative director over the whole division and on KI. It was really cool that Ken trusted us to do that.
It was great because by the
we
time
were
this
able to
all
look at it
happened,
and say,
Ken
you know
like
what?
worked for
We gotta loosen
Xbox
this
and
whole
was like
thing
a
up.
big wig at
Like, there were a
Xbox,
whole
and
bunch
they're
of
still
things that
like,
just were
we
dated.
need your blessing
And
to do this.
the Double Helix team kind of recognized that as
You're-
well.
you're the-
And so we
the
went
daddy
through
of
this
Killer
iterative
Instinct.
phase of figuring out.
yeah, man.
We went
Fucking
through like 6 or
Miyamoto of
7
Killer
combo
Instinct.
systems, and eventually the Double Helix team even came
It's almost
up.
as if they tried to
And
make
we've
like a
been
Metal
working
Gear
on it
Solid game
internally,
without
myself, James
Coach
Goddard, another designer named Dan
fuck.
Farnese, who does Rivals of Aether now. We even built one out of cards,
Look at
which
this.
we actually took to the first Evo. That was all our prototypes for how the combo system was going to work.
True.
And Double
They
Helix
brought a
came up,
card
and we were
system.
going through pitches, and then we're like, wait, you know, we have a pitch, and we kind of
What?
did
They
the
were
whole
because they were
pitch
like,
and
look, if it
moved
can,
back
it can
and
be,
forth with
if it can
everyone
be
from there
displayed
and
in
us,
cards,
and
how the
arrived
Killer
finally
Instinct's
at
all based on
something that
combos.
is
That's
the
what they're
basic
talking
system
about.
from Killer
Yeah.
Instinct Season
Yeah.
1 that then we evolved over time.
And so they
The
laid
way
it
I
out.
always explain KI to people who are brand new is that I say the combos in
Look,
KI
here you
are
go.
like sandwiches, right? Every sandwich has 2 pieces of bread. If it doesn't have 2 pieces of bread, well, first of all, you either got ripped off or it's like a really bad sandwich. You need 2 quality pieces of bread. And what
Hey,
kind
I
of bread
seen
is
this
up
guy
to you as well,
commentating
right? There's
on,
lots of different ways that characters can open combos, which is the first piece of bread,
Ego.
and end combos, which is the bottom piece of bread. So you can have, you know, a high damaging opener, something like a nice sourdough. You can have something that's a little weak, you know, a little thin white bread that's barely hanging in there. You put a tomato in there, this thing melts, right? It's got like the moisture from it will destroy this bread. So you got the bread, that's the opener and the ender. Then in the middle, you're gonna stack it with ingredients. And the way I always think about it is like the meat of it is the normals you put in there. And then after that, you have the linkers. These are special moves. That's like your veggies, right? So your lettuce, your tomato, you got anything in there, right? So when it goes back and forth, you don't wanna just lay layer it all meat, all veggies. That's gross. Nobody does that. So you have to have like veggies, meat, veggies, meat, veggies, meat, and then close it. I do a normal of some
It's
kind.
a very good way
and a
to
special
describe
move
Killer
of some
Instinct
kind.
combos,
Normal
though.
of some kind, special move of some kind. You got your meat, your
That's how they
veggies,
work.
your meat, your veggies, all the way down.
You need an
And
opener
if you
and
want to
enter
make
all
the
the
sandwich
ingredients in
really
between.
small, really compact, easy to take a bite out of, that's great, but it doesn't fill you up that much, right? If you make it bigger, a big, fat, heavy sandwich like this, it has more potential to fill you out, but it might spill everywhere. Maybe some other guy's gonna knock your sandwich out of your
This
hands.
is amazing.
So you gotta be very careful about the length of your sandwich and the kind of things you put in there.
The evolution of that as everybody worked their way through it was really
it does
cool
explain
because
it very well.
made it way more open, and you could basically
Here you go.
express
Look,
yourself
see
a
here.
lot better
See?
on how you did combos.
That's how
And
combos
then
work
as
in
we
that
were
game.
playing and talking about the game, we talked about a couple of things. One thing was the fact that in the old game, you could just keep spamming Combo Breaker because there was no lockout. So that was a new mechanic that got put in there, was a lockout timer, and that was really, really good. So then we started getting around this idea of like, is that enough? And Counter Breaker was something that we pitched during that as the solution to that. Again, a bit off the riposte. And that's definitely an example of where, hey, there's already a lot we're trying to figure out, and that just got put on the back burner because they needed to build out the game first. Much later, I think we went to E3 and there was some great matches with Maximilian, and there was just something missing.
Nice combo breaker. We show versatility with the instinct mode. That's nice breaker there from Max. For the he catches a nice breaker from Ken.
There's a drama to fighting games. I kind of throw that Evo final from Injustice up there where you're like, oh, please let this end, right? Like, it started to feel that way with the KI because there was just so many combo breakers. Just combo breaker, combo breaker, combo breaker.
Initially in this
And that
version, you
announcer
could
is
just
awesome
infinitely combo
when those
breaker
are
like in
dramatic
Killer
moments,
Instinct 2.
Not when that is the only moment that you're hearing. Yeah, it was a lot of like, we need to fix this. And it's kind of talking with the Double Helix team about like, hey, remember my original pitch? I had this whole riposte thing. It was like, you could break a combo breaker somehow. And like, so there was a way to like go back and forth with it.
I remember us just slamming our heads and just like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do about this? And I want to say it was Dave Hall. He was our lead combat designer. He loves poker. And he was like, Mike, what if we let players bluff? I was like, what do you mean? What if we let players fake like they're gonna do a thing and it really sets them up? So if the person actually breaks on it, they get locked out and then they get opened up to huge damage. And we're like, you're a genius. This sounds great. This is absolutely fantastic idea. And I believe we were able to prototype it very quickly. And then as soon as we did and we all played, like we all got, the big just ear-to-ear grins are like, oh, this is good. This is really good.
Went down to Double Helix, like not much after that, right before Evo. We show up and they're like, we have something really cool to show you guys. And it was Counter Breaker. And just the sound of it, and I believe it was Mike's voice, and it's just like,
oh,
Yeah,
shit.
it's interesting because there's a constant interaction.
We haven't even gotten to the
So it's
audio
like,
part of
I
this
get a
game.
combo,
That is
so
fucking
I have to
phenomenal.
think,
Here
what
you
is
go.
my combo going to be? I have to worry about like how hard I'm making it to break, what breakpoints I'm giving you. Should I reset? Should I spend meter? Did I react to your lockout? There's all these things I have to think about. For the defensive player, it's every single part of the combo is like you're recognizing it in your mind, and as it reaches your mind what it is, it needs to be sent to your hands. Do I break this part of the combo or not? So it's like constant, like data is going from like game. It's like, all right, that's a heavy linker. Hits your brain. Do I break the heavy linker? Does it need to go down to my hands to break it? No. Next part of the combo, like this. Do I need to? No. Next part. Man, he still I'll hit the. Damn it.
No matter what's going on in the match, no matter what has happened to you, no matter what mistakes you just made, you can always make a worse one or a better one within just a couple seconds. That's why I think KI is an extremely emotional game. You can't make a decision and then stew on it for a bit. You're like, oh man, I made a mistake. I'm gonna die here. Okay, there's that combo. Okay, here's the little reset. There's none of that. It's you got hit and you have to like viscerally make another decision for like another 30% of your life immediately. And if you don't make that decision, you have to make another one. It stacks your mistakes on top of each other very quickly. And in the end, when you win or lose, when you win, you feel like relieved. That was exciting. And I'm so glad I made like all these correct decisions that it feels great. And when you lose, you're like, oh, this is the worst. Like, I can't believe, you're excited to get back into it.
There's an instinct, the extra damage in the throw. TJ's coming back.
That face.
Mine was so hard, dude.
oh, I love that.
Fuck.
I was curious. Like I was wondering, what's the competitive scene look like in Killer Instinct?
It's
Like,
not as much anymore.
Yeah.
This game's 10 years old.
Yeah, I'm sure, but yeah, I mean, even a lot of older games,
I've
dude.
always
Even
thought
the
that
fucking
audio
Shrek fighting game
and
has a
music
color,
is
yeah,
one of
competitive
those
scene.
things, one of the most impactful things you can do
well,
in a movie
yeah,
and
yeah.
a television
It really,
show and
it's
a
about
video
time
game.
for a new one.
But
I
yet
mean, it's,
so many
Oh, man,
people
that'd
it would be
don't
great.
index
It's
on it
on-
enough to make it a part
It
of
got
the
an
experience
update
it
like a
should be.
year and a half,
Double
like
Helix
18
just
months
they
ago,
embraced that.
like
And they
with some
saw
rollback
what was so
netcode and some
important about
other
it in the
cool
original
like
game.
balance patch shit.
And their
Nice.
audio people and our audio people just really just put
Here
their
we go.
heads together
Check
and
this out.
made something
I love the
incredible.
audio
And I
portion
think
of
that
this.
because the bombastic announcement
have my CD
was,
still.
and the music was so important to the original game.
Killer
Again,
Cuts.
it was one of those like, well, we can't go back on this.
No.
You know, we've got to make this as good as it's been in the previous games.
The original KI had a very specific look and feel that was so different, like you mentioned, to all the other fighters out there.
Yeah,
There
like Mac was
slightly
saying, yeah.
more gothic or just like more grungy, look and feel to things, and like it was such a diverse
very
cast.
90s.
and
It's
we
the
wanted to
90s
stay true
alternative
to
of
that as
fighting
well.
games.
So
That's why it
we
was
got
like
to
my
work with
favorite.
Mick Gordon, he got it. He saw and heard the previous stuff, and he's
This is the guy that did the
"All
new
right,
music for the
all
new
right,"
Killer
and he
Instinct.
saw what
Check
we were
this out,
trying to
Mac.
do
You're gonna
to
crap
updating
your
the
pants.
characters and adding, just layering like the way we're approaching some of our lore stuff and everything like that. And he took that stuff and he just ran with it.
This is the original, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's like let's make it
And the
fucking
fact that
gent
Mick was
rock.
able to
Like this
take
is like
the 90s
yeah,
sound
that
of
works.
the guitar riff on the title screen,
Yeah,
or
he
even
nailed
the
the whole
way
soundtrack.
Jago's music was both sort of grounded in the original Jago music, but not 90s anymore. It had this nice kind of cross across genres and across decades.
In Jago stage, when you hear they call it throat singing, Mick actually came to the studio and he actually recorded the team actually doing like the background vocals for that stuff. So it was just one of those cool moments. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like we were all just tripping out and stuff like that.
Rare liked making audio that was related to what was going on in the game. They had done that with the original Killer Instinct, they'd done it with Banjo, they'd done it with Donkey Kong, but it was Double Helix that was like, well, we could take that idea and just extend it.
When you play KI, if you turn off all the sound effects, all the announcers, which you can do in the game, you're gonna see how the music changes on a note-by-note basis with combos, with combo breaking, with every gameplay
That's cool.
mechanic the game actually sets up.
Yo.
There's a musical beat. The music will actually turn back when a combo breaker happens. And then as soon as the payout happens, when you cash out the damage of a combo, it kicks in.
That's really impressive.
Impressive.
That's like
We'll get
they
better.
Leading up to
Like,
this idea of we're gonna
They did
audio
this shit in
script
Doom
the sound effects
2016,
of
but
an
it
Ultra
took
Combo to
2016
sound
like that long to
character's
fucking
riff.
do that.
Just
That's better.
brilliant.
Yeah, that's super cool.
We were talking about music to Jed, who was our sound engineer. We wanted to make sure that the music was also escalating in conjunction with what's going on in the match. There was like actually different stages to the music depending on how far into the match you were, and to the point where when you perform one of those ultras, it actually would play out, the songs
Check this
themselves
out.
and stuff.
This is so fucking
This was a
cool.
labor of love for
This
a
makes
lot of
playing
us.
this
Like, we
game
were
so fucking
fully
neat.
invested in it. We worked tons and tons of hours on this stuff, but it was because we believed in it. So there was stuff in there that we spent extra time and worked weekends just to see if we can get stuff in there. Like for example, the musical ultras were something that we just randomly talked about at one point. It started from the escalating music in the stages themselves, and on top of that, like the ultras kind of like the high point for one of the matches. So we were talking about like we want that to be reflected in the music as well. And during that process,
You're muting all this on
that's
purpose
when
to
what Jen
build
and I
up
were
the hype
talking
for
about,
you.
Let's see if we could throw a little extra something on there to actually.
Oh. Oh no, I'm all alone. rewind it. The stream fucking dropped everybody.
Oh no!
Did we come back?
Yeah, rewind it like
It did.
10 seconds.
It didn't get. He's still talking. The guy's still talking.
Okay.
Played it like the first
But
time.
you're gonna
I
have to
actually
crank the volume up in
hit
just a
one of
second.
those ultras, and it went to beat and everything. We were just like, okay, this is good stuff.
To be like dun 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 dun, and then you
Ready
get the
to turn
jungle
up the
dun
knob.
dun dun dun, like at the end, and I was like, what was that? That's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Whoa! Everyone.
We had very strict
The level
pillars of the
changes
game,
its
like what was the
tempo
most important,
based on
and if
it's all built
things
into the
didn't fit within
software.
Those pillars, they got
That's so
cut.
fucking cool.
So like for us, it was like rebooting.
It's like the
what
beats
KI
going with the
was,
hits.
bringing back those feelings, those emotions, that nostalgia, but updating it. It was having a tournament viable combat. Every
I remember
input
watching
needed to
some
be tight
finals
and
with
responsive,
Grayson of
and
this
then
game at
also it
CEO
needed
like
to play
4 or
well
5, 6
online.
years ago.
Every
When you're
modern
watching it
game
and you're just
has
like,
to play
the
well
music
online.
is
If
so
you can't
important
do
in this
that,
game.
You're dead on arrival.
Well, we were like, okay, so we're gonna make the fighter, and we wanted to make the best KI we could, and
Where
the
are we at on
GPO
the,
style
timeline of
networking
that,
was the best that we could get.
Pretty close to the
Early
halfway
on,
point.
We had all of
I was
our
gonna say there's an ending
animators
to a
and
chapter
designers
coming
and
up in just a
everything
few minutes. That's
set
probably
up
a
all
good
of
part.
their animations such that they know that this rollback can happen, so that we can.
We're talking about
make
rollback
conscious
netcode
decisions
right
of
now.
What can happen
This-
when a rollback?
it had
happens
rollback
at a
netcode,
specific
like, from the
point.
launch,
A
which
lot
is
of that
amazing.
is sort of a team
You guys know
effort
how
that we
that
got
works?
it
I was
all
watching a
such that
video
we
on
He's
that.
explaining it
could
right
use
now.
Correctly. Early on, is when we decided we needed to use this netcode. So that's part of the reason why the game launched how it did with the 6 fighters, was because we were originally planning to have a full box title later on in the cycle, but they were like, no, we want you to be a launch title.
They did it in like 10 months. And again, we didn't push them. Literally, the idea was what's done, we'll ship. And some of that led to, again, it was nice because it fit this push to get online done as fast as possible. I wanted to play online with Jago. I wanted to play online with Double Helix. It was like while we were in development, it's like, how soon can we get to the point where build review is on live? Because that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build a new character, comes out, that character drops into an online fighting game community and people use them. So that enabled us to, we can ship with 4, that's what we thought we were gonna do for a while. 4 backgrounds, no story mode. Maybe we can get KI 1 Arcade done, you know, the emulation that came with the $40 SKU. Maybe we can't, but they busted ass. They were having fun.
That EA,
At
I mean that
E3, I see
E3.
that announce. Right, I mean, that was incredible. I believe nostalgia is a very powerful tool. in the
distinct.
game
It's very distinct,
Once
right?
something gets to be 10 and 15 years old, if it was beloved, you have this opportunity
That's
to
Killer Instinct
ignite
music.
the passion of people that have been playing
Holy
games
shit.
for a long time. So while there were people, shall we say, in the industry or even inside Microsoft who thought, okay, this game will be good. It's great to have in the portfolio. We're going to put it in the E3 trailer. It's just this weird short thing. That's probably going to be this little blip. It was the loudest moment at that press conference. The music starts, you get this buzz, the logo pops, and boom!
Coming to your home in 2013, only on Xbox One. Jago.
Just like the coming to your home in 1995.
Seeing KI just pop up on
They did
that
it like
big
that on
gigantic
purpose,
screen,
and it was perfect.
I just like lost my mind, dude. I was just like, oh my god, KI is back.
Killer Instinct.
We listened, and Killer Instinct is back.
I mean, State of
Only on
Decay.
Xbox
Play State of
One.
Decay, guys.
Personally admired and wanted to work with for a long time.
I'm fucking crying.
Killer Instinct would be announced at E3 2013.
That's a pretty good place to stop there.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
cool, huh? So now they're going to get into the whole actual release of the game and how everything went. Plus, there was a season 2 of this game where they added. This game only launched with like 6 characters or something.
Right.
Oh wow.
Pretty cool about the music and everything, though, huh? The sound and how the
Yeah,
sound design was
dude,
important.
that's so fucking cool, man. Like, and like I was saying, it's like that's like pretty state of the art. Like they Doom 2016 did it, but this is done in 2013. Like that's fucking wild, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's Killer Instinct. It had to be part of the
Yeah.
program to begin with. It makes it fun to play it even when you suck.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can tell you right now, like combos are a weakness of mine in fighting games in general. And like it's I know I'd be bad at this game, but it looks fun as hell. I definitely want to. look into Killer
They
Instinct.
work different in Killer
Yeah.
Instinct. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It
Combos
feels
and-
less like trying to catch juggling balls and feels more like doing a Sudoku or something.
You
Okay,
remember when he
yeah.
described the sandwich and the way that it works, and he described how auto doubles and Kim Kaf-Wan's moves work?
I guess that makes it much easier
So,
to kind of like
if you-
throw and get
If
into
you
a
didn't
combo.
play
yeah.
the newer Mortal Kombats, play a lot more like Killer Instinct now. So if you haven't
Okay.
played any of those two either, but it's more like, okay, I want to do this combo with full gore. Okay, you're gonna charge back and hold forward, and he's gonna dash forward. Now what? I'm gonna tap quick punch 2 or 3 times, and like the guy, like the commentator was explaining. Okay, now what? Now if I do another auto double like forward and fierce punch, I'm gonna hit 2 or 3 times instead of 1 time. Now what?
Okay.
Now I'll do another special to continue the combo. And so rather than like in Street Fighter where you have to manually do every single attack that
Right,
player is
yeah,
going to do, a lot of it is going to be built into a special move or an auto double or something else. And so you're pushing way less buttons than the character on screen
I
is
was gonna
doing.
say, I think Buck is the synopsis says that the rhythm of
Yeah.
Guilty Gear or the rhythm of the Dragon Ball Z. And
Oh,
now
yeah.
even
Totally
Final
different.
Fantasy or Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
Street Fighter is like
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, and it's like
Yeah.
but like with Killer Instinct, it's probably more like
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like, it's a
and
lot
move
less
buffering and stuff.
inputs.
The
Yeah,
newer Mortal
so-
Kombats are like that too. But yeah, that's exactly right. And so when you say like you're not good at combos, Killer Instinct is almost all combos. And so when you
Right,
learn a move, you're learning you're not learning a fireball, you're not learning a dragon uppercut, you're learning an opener to a combo.
So the same way that I'd be learning motion inputs and adding combos into that, like that's instead of doing that, I'm learning the combos in Killer Instinct because
It's
those
just
are
that
those
the
are
middle
your
parts are not
Yeah.
usually moves
In
per se. Like,
Tekken,
there'll be a single button.
In Tekken, it teaches you
your normals, yeah.
It teaches you do left punch, forward,
Yeah.
right punch, back, left kick, and that's your combo. You can only do it in that exact progression. That's your only choice. In Killer Instinct, it's like here's your 4 openers, here's your 5 closers, here's
Okay.
your auto doubles, and your in between linker moves, and then
Yeah.
you have all your normal hits. You do an opener.
Very few moves in there are going to send the opponent flying across the screen to where you're
Right.
like, oh, I can't continue my combo because it
Yeah.
was one of the middle moves.
Yeah, unless
And
you
their
drop the move.
properties
Yeah.
are designed by the game makers to not have them do that. That would be a closer move. That
Yeah. So
sends
that's how
your
Killer
opponent
Instinct is
flying.
designed. You know, the most basic full gore combo is dash in, attack, button, while holding back again, because after you hit 2 or 3 times, you dash in and attack again. So you use that opener, which can also be a linker because it has those properties. And so
you're
you can learn a
opening
really
another
simple
combo.
combo like that. And then sometimes you can even end with that one. That same simple one turns into an ender. And so you can learn a handful of moves. And now you just learn combos by putting those A, B, and C together.
And then it's just a matter
All
of
right.
breaking your opponent's combos.
And the new Mortal Kombat works a lot like that too. Actually, it has a lot of move buffering, and it has a lot of like that's why I like that new Mortal Kombat 1 and 10 was kind of the same way. It does the same thing. A lot of your moves, like say Reptile's dash attack, that is actually like an opener for a combo, and there's certain buttons you can hit to continue the combo, and then you can do another special to almost link it. It almost is like a Killer Instinct style system. in
More
the new Mortal
free
Kombat.
form, I guess. Is
Like,
yeah.
okay.
Yes, yeah. Killer Instinct is a little tighter, but this newest one is also a little more freeform.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because yeah,
Yeah, it's
man,
fun.
that Dragon Ball Z like Fighter Z game, that the one that's made by Arc System Works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of one where it's just like there's like, and then when you get to this part, you got to jump upright at this exact
Right,
angle.
right.
You better fucking hit upright and then hit
Yeah.
punch at this exact tempo.
Yeah.
And also the punch that you're gonna hit is just gonna make Frieza go like this. So just like
Yeah.
get ready to throw.
I will
100
say-
million more of those.
I don't know. Fighter Z, I found it really easy. Like Fighter Z, almost I felt like I could straight up button mash if I wanted
You know
to and
why?
do something really
Not
impressive.
win though.
Fighter Z is a
Maybe,
bad,
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a bad example, only when comparing it to Killer Instinct because it also uses the light, medium, fierce combo
Right.
thing. Where in
Yeah, it's got
Dragon
a
Buck, I don't know,
3-button
have you played
setup,
Fighter
yeah.
Z, Buck?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
In Fighter Z,
Yeah,
you have
it's
the
got a-
key button, and then you have a light,
That's right.
medium, and fierce.
I played it when it first
If
came
you
out.
were to
It's
just
got like a
hit,
4-button setup. Yeah.
if you were to just hit light, medium, fierce in a row, it does a
You get a
very
combo.
basic combo. Yeah,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, Killer Instinct works in that respect if you input in a move and in place of A, B, and
first
C,
one,
right? But when he was talking about the sandwich, he's talking about you don't just do A, B, C. You do A, you do button presses in between, you do B, you do button press, and you do C, and then you end the combo. You knock them back. But when you get into like the combo breakers and the lockouts and stuff, he's right. It is like playing very fast tempo poker. It's really and like playing yourself is one thing, but watching high level play, you're like, this is so entertaining to watch. It's like watching.
Try to
it's like watching a well choreographed kung fu movie, because like those options again, you can break combos, but if you goad your opponent into trying to break a combo and you do basically a feint, you then lock them out of future combo breakers for the rest of that combo. And so you're incentivized to, instead of just do your bread and butter combo every time, your opponent's going to eventually start combo breaking it, and now you throw in these feints to really mess them up. Yeah, it's pretty cool. In some of those are pretty not too difficult to do. It's a learnable thing for us noobs.
Yeah,
it sounds like I can fuck with this. I might pick up Killer Instinct. You know.
Yeah, I think we will see what's good with it on the Xbox. But let's go ahead and wrap it up today, gentlemen.
Okay.
I need to do some more editing on the episode that comes out tomorrow. The episode on games we just don't understand. That is a really good one that I think everyone is going to like. And then
That's a lot of fun there.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun making that one.
We're gonna get yelled at. We're gonna get so much hate mail.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, everybody! I'm gonna piss a lot of people off when
We're
that
gonna get
episode
our
comes out.
We're gonna get our first hate mail.
Yeah, for sure. Easily.
No, that's not true. We've already gotten hate mail.
Yeah, it's not our first, right? Yeah.
And then yeah, I need to do that, and then I need to tell this job that I can't.
That you're not gonna get murdered in the woods, you know?
Drive out into the middle of nowhere to be killed by a deranged hillbilly.
Again, how much proof do you need?
I just don't know.
Just go to that side of town.
Yeah, I think that does it for us here with the Game Treasure Weekly Watch Along. Make sure to go to our merch store at printify.me to get all of this amazing merch that Buck has got pulled up on the screen right here. Go to our Patreon at patreon.com/the GTP to take a peek at our UFO 50 episode and help me not have to take jobs that could endanger my life.
Yes.
So yeah, that's basically it. Tomorrow we are yeah, I'm not gonna do this fucking job. Tomorrow we are going to fucking record the episode about. I don't care. They don't have they can't write a bad review for me because I didn't take this job that they didn't fucking have the phone
Wouldn't
number.
endanger his life.
It's the most insane thing I've ever heard. You don't have his phone number? That's crazy.
How did you get a hold of him in the first place?
Jesus Christ, guys, come on. So yeah, tomorrow we are going to be talking about hero shooters because I can't stop playing Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
So we're just going to ride that vibe and talk about some other hero shooters that we played in the past. Not just Overwatch. Turns out Buck has a pretty wide array of these that he's played, actually.
Yeah, they were talking about Xbox Live on there. They showed off Monday Night Combat. Holy smokes!
Whoa. I don't know what that is.
Me neither. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to have a history lesson for you youngins.
We'll talk tomorrow.
So
Yeah.
remember double tap anyways. God.
We got streams throughout the week, right?
Yeah,
Are you
so we got streams? Caitlin
weekend
is
rather
in the fiery depths of LA right now, so we're not able.
Jesus Christ.
We're not able to do our Baldur's Gate right now. Praying she comes back rare and not well done. So yeah, this Saturday I'll probably just be playing more Golfaria, or as I like to call it, Golfaria.
Golfaria. Golfaria. More like gonorrhea.
You're a golfaria.
Fuck this. But yeah, just no time like that in order to do basically the legwork to work on those UFO 50 episodes. You know,
try to get all that shit done.
Just
I
so
got
much
so
stuff.
I don't know if you guys saw, if anybody
John.
saw it last Sunday, but I fucked around in Abiotic Factor. I'm gonna do that again this Sunday. Last week we explored Silent Hill because apparently this game has Silent Hill in it.
Perfect.
It's pretty wild. So, but yeah, I'm gonna be doing that again this Sunday as well. So join me.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it for the Game Treasure Podcast weekly watch along. Look at that beautiful shirt there.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and until next week, video games. Bye.
Get out of here, you filthy animals.
Thank you for watching.